I'm so excited to be here, and we've got a real good conversation today. We're going to be talking about how to turn your excuses into your whys. As I was saying, for those of you that are jumping on a bit later, we have all had that girlfriend that perhaps we've sat and we've talked to and we felt like we've repeated the same conversation over and over, right? We want to get them into this conversation because we want to cut that short and we want to make transitions and changes. Now, a bit about myself, let me introduce who I am. So my name is Charlotte Barrett. I'm one of the co-founders of a business growth agency called One Less Stress Connect that I run alongside my business partner and bestie. Thank you for all the emojis coming in as well. And now what I do is we help entrepreneurs and SMEs really grow their connection so they can grow their business. Hey Blair, great to see you as well. And we do that by increasing their visibility so that we can turn their connections, their new raving fans, into happy buying customers through coaching, consultancy, social media strategy and management as well. So very excited, and I'm loving all the emotions that are coming on. Do keep interacting with the conversation. This is something I really enjoy, and I believe you learn better when you're able to interact. So how are you doing, Blair, Dallas, Janine, everyone else that's jumping on? Pop in the comments where you're watching from as well. And now, to get the party started, what I want to do, we've got to start with honesty in order for this conversation to be effective and powerful. I want to ask you guys all a question. Hey Julia, how are you doing? I think you may have missed my thank yous, but thank you again for inviting me on this amazing platform. Now, what I'm going to ask you guys is how many of you perhaps have had a to-do list today or maybe Monday, whenever you have, and you can go back and look on that list and realize that some things have not been ticked off. Why? Because you've attributed an excuse next to it. I can hold my hand up, guys. I can do this with honesty, and I think it's something we all do, which is absolutely fine. But what is important is we understand how we can reframe that and we can use it in a positive, and that we can reframe our excuses and actually fuel our fire so we can absolutely kick ourselves up the butt if we need to and go out there and be great. So we've got Blair watching from Edmonton, Canada. Amazing. Canada's a place I need to go and visit a family over there. I'd love to know where else you guys are watching from. So hands up, guys, how many of you have let excuses serve you this week to not, I know we're only here on Tuesday, to not achieve the things that you could have achieved so far? Whether it be you said, okay, I've come in, I've been tired, the weather's not been great. Hey Jamelia, how are you doing as well? Thanks for joining. How many of you have had an excuse this week? We've got to be honest, guys. We've got to be honest in order to move this conversation forward. And as I said, I have. And it all starts with turning our excuses into our whys. When we can get honest and we can start to take responsibility, and then we can start to implement strategies to not let that hold us back anymore. Now, for those of you that know me, I often love to start things. Yes, girl power does rock. It really does, Michelle. And that's when we absolutely create magic collectively. I totally believe that. So I always like to start with a quote. I do this a lot on my podcast, do this with my teachings and trainings. Reason being, I believe it really sets the scene for us to have a conversation, know where we're going, and sometimes a quote can really sum up and resonate things in a quick fire way. So I have this quote here, and it's from George Carver, Washington. It says, 99% of failure comes from those who have a habit of making excuses. How many of you guys can resonate? Powerful, right? And the reason being is because success is for the minority, not the majority. And the majority of people do what? They have excuses. Yes, but it's when you allow those excuses to contain you in your comfort zone that you do not put yourself in that minority and you go for that success that you're trying to achieve, right? I would love to know, all of you. Hey Nadine, I see your bubble as well. Thanks for joining me. All of you jump in on how many of you have goals and ambitions. Do you have, thank you for sharing, Nadine. Do you have a business? Do you have ambitions, aspirations, things you're going to try and achieve? And honestly, how many of you have had these goals and ambitions, and we are in, you know, it could be years and years into the timeline that we've not achieved it because we've let excuses get into the way? We've got to be honest, guys. And I can say myself, I can hold my hands up as well. I am testament to this as well. I love the emojis. Keep on putting yourself in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you have a big goal, ambition, or you have a business as well, I'd love to know the audience as you all stream in as well. So I was recently asked in a podcast interview what has been my biggest achievement so far. And guys, I want to tell you what my answer was. It was the fact that I am now in a position that I'm able to pick up my daughter from school and bring her to school. Why is this such a big achievement for me? Because for years I let my excuse, which was my daughter, so I'm a single mum for those of you that don't know, which was my daughter, get in the way of me creating the lifestyle that I want. So Nadine, you've said you've got many big goals to streamline into a balanced and exciting life. Absolutely amazing. Guys, let me know the rest of your goals. Hey Audrey, as you come in as well. Everyone that's jumping in, I'm just going to reset. My name is Charlotte Barrett. I'm one of the co-founders of business growth agency One Less Stress Connect. I've been invited here by the beautiful ladies Julia and Dallas to share on this Girl Power Ignite movement and share a common topic that resonates with us all. We all have excuses. Sometimes we let excuses overtake us and stop us from actually achieving our greatness, but not no more. Not after this conversation. We're going to flip it on its head and we're going to reframe and we're going to move forward and we're going to blast those excuses away, right? Let me know if you're with me, show me some emotions and get hitting those emoji buttons. So as I said, my biggest achievement at the moment is that I'm now able in a position that I can actually pick my child. Hey Marlene, how are you doing? Great to see you here. Seeing so many amazing people jump in and join me on the conversation. Absolutely amazing. So it's been able to get myself in that position. And why? Because so many times, and this is something that many people can resonate with, we use, those of you that are mothers and those of you that are not, there's other excuses. We use excuses to stop us achieving our dreams and goals. And for me, I had always been, I had a corporate background, was in project management for many years, and I had to go back to work pretty early within the journey. So my daughter went back into childcare after 5 months. I know for many of you ladies over there in the US, that is probably normal. You have quite a quick maternity turnaround, but over in the UK we're quite privileged and a lot of people would take a longer time off. So after that point happened and my child had to go back into childcare, I was like, okay, I've got to change my lifestyle. This is not the type of mother I want to be. This is not where I want to be. However, I kept on getting into a position where I was like, well, I can't do this. This is my excuse. I'm unable to do this. I'm the breadwinner. I can't go out and achieve my dreams. I would never be able to be in a position until I started to reframe and switch that actually the parent I wanted to be, the lifestyle I wanted, thank you for the comments, the lifestyle I wanted was only going to happen if I refueled. I looked at actually my reason for wanting a different lifestyle, for wanting a change, for wanting to go out there and be a better person was going to happen if I use that to fuel me. So there was a point within my journey that actually many of you might relate. I was actually involved in network marketing for a time. Hands up if any of you in network marketing or multi-level marketing, as you guys say over in the US. And there was a point I was in that, and I remember at that time I had to be present and go out and do a lot of presentations. I had to help team members build, and I had to just be out and about quite a lot in order to build that business. The thing was, I didn't always have childcare, so I was like, okay, what can I do? How can I switch this? How can I reframe it? And what I did is I brought my daughter along to the point that she could memorize the presentation. She started to understand, and it served me and it served her to the point that she's doing very well, but also it served into the point that I was able to turn those excuses. And I know there are many people out there. You could be a caregiver, you could be, perhaps there is excuses, then they are excuses, guys. A lot of it is just in our head, that perhaps you don't have the time, you don't have the finance. Hey Diana, great to see you. How are you? Let me know if you're watching from the beautiful sunny JA. Actually, I'd love to know that as well. That I could turn those excuses into my why. And I want you guys to start to think and get really clear and get really honest about what is the excuses that's currently holding you back. Hey Marsha, how are you doing? Great to see you. So we're talking today about turning your excuses into your why. I've just shared a bit about my story and how I managed to reframe that and use it as a positive influence. And we've talked about why many people don't, simply because it's easier to stay in the majority and use excuses as a comfort blanket as it is to actually step out and start moving forward and going for what it is you truly desire and what you truly, you should have as well. You've all been blessed with amazing gifts. We all can do amazing things, but it's about time we start to flip what we think is something that's holding us back into something that can fuel us. Let me know if that resonates with you guys as you pop on into the screen as well. Also, do share out as we talk and we get candid with this conversation. So we've talked about the story, I've shared about you what was my biggest why, and one of the things that I often talk to with clients initially when I start working with them is to understand your why. So Sharon, you're working on your reframing, absolutely brilliant. It does help. The way we look at things, you know, it all does start with our thoughts, is what will be the reflection of what we have, and reframing, I do believe, is the absolutely beginning we need to do, and then things start to shift and come into place. Thank you guys for all the emotions. I'm loving it, and I hope you're enjoying the conversation so far. Do let me know in the comments, actually, what do you think? What is your biggest excuse? What is the excuse that you know that you use time and time again? Is it time, which is a common one? Is it perhaps age? Is it perhaps finance? Is it perhaps you don't know any of the right people? Pop it in, get it out there, and we can start to tackle it and work it collectively. After all, this is a movement. I know there will be some men watching, but for females to come collectively so that we can help and empower and move each other forward. So let's get honest in the comments. Let's share what those excuses are. I bet you there is someone else with that exact same excuse that they will be doing it. So Julia says, I have time, I'll do it tomorrow. We all do this, and the thing is, time, I can rant on and on about time because it's a real gift that we have. Time, this only gift we have is a present moment, and when we choose to say we're going to do it tomorrow, we don't know what tomorrow holds, unfortunately, and that is why we need to make use of every bit of time we have present. It's the only thing we have control of. We can't change the past, we don't know what's happening in the future, but the time we have right now is what we can control and what we can use to move ourselves forward and go that bit further. So time is a massive one, and I think again it just goes back to reframing and the mindset and understanding that we are actually in control of this present, this gift that we've been given right now. I'm in control. I've decided to use my time and come here and share with you amazing people in a hope that we can really make some shifts and we can move things such as time out of the way. Guys, I'd love you to share again in the comments what else. So we've got Nadine, need to use time for other things that I'm obliged to. Again, that does come up, and what I want you wonderful people to understand is that we are obliged to nothing except being our greatest self. So sometimes if that time being that we think is being obliged to something else and it does not serve us or other people, don't worry about it. Time is so precious. Use it productively and you will begin to move forward as well. Thank you, Audrey, for all you guys and everyone else sharing some emotion. I'm absolutely loving it, and do share in as we go through as well. Okay, so one of the first things I do, you probably often heard about it as well, is that when we are looking at what our excuses are and our whys, it's important that we go back to it and we truly emotionally connect, right? So many times I sit with someone and I say, so why are you doing this? Why are you even here? Why are you choosing to go down this path? And usually it's surface level, right? So many times the first thing may be, why am I starting a business? Because I want money, I want to, you know, I want a nice car, or I want a beautiful house. It may be something like that, but we have to go down deeper and deeper. And there's an exercise that I use, and I ask people to ask the question why up to 7 times, digging deeper and deeper. So for instance, you say why? Because I want a nice car. Why do you want a nice car? Because I want to be able to bring my family around in style. Why do you want to bring your family around in style? Because they deserve that. Why do they deserve that? So asking the question at least 7 times is what's going to bring the real surface of the why to the fruition. Why we need to do that again, see the use of whys, is because when we can connect emotionally with why we're doing, it starts to become bigger than surface level, and it's that thing that you're going to revisit, and it's going to be your fuel to kick you up the butt when you just don't simply feel like doing something. Or you can use, you know, these excuses such as I don't have time, or the weather's not nice, or I can't get to the shops to get that particular thing. So getting really deep first with your why is very important, going down to surface level. And as Jim Rohn says, hey Audrey, as Jim Rohn says as well, the bigger the why, the easier the how. Because if we make our why bigger than us, we are more inclined to continue moving forward when motivation long drops off. And motivation does go, guys. I say this all the time. It's important to bring in discipline to take away those excuses and help you move forward when motivation does disappear as well. So we go deep, we understand our why, and more often than not, when your why is bigger, so the bigger the why, thank you for scribing, the easier the how. When your why is bigger, it means usually that you're more inclined to not let that other person down. You know, so many times we have, I'm sure the majority of people here is females. I do know the odd male may be watching as well, but as females, we tend to be caregivers, whether it be for family, relatives, children, partner, whoever it may be. And we tend to usually put ourselves at the bottom of the list. Hands up in the comments if you agree with this. So when our why is just about us, it's easy to fall down to the bottom of the list. I mean, how many of you guys can relate that January's come and you've set these goals and you've set in these intentions, whether it be you're going to lose weight, you're going to get healthier, you're going to start that business, you're going to find that man of your dreams, and because it's down to you, it's just for you, you have let that goal drop down to the bottom of the list. You've let excuses creep in. However, when that why is bigger than you, so for instance, you're going to impact more people. So one of my big whys at the moment is for me to start a foundation. Hey Terry, hey everyone jumping on, really amazing to see you. Is that I want to start a foundation to empower and inspire the everyday woman to go out and create success, what it really looks like for them. That is bigger than me. So I have to, you know, the times when I don't perhaps feel like it, when excuses start to creep in, I have to remember that why, that it's not about me. Again, one of my big whys that I've got is for next year. I'm sharing this publicly, so you guys can hold me accountable. Next year, I want to take my daughter away on an 8-week trip where we're going to visit 8 different countries. That's a big why. That's going to impact her long beyond that time after as well. So these things help fuel me. I'm just going to jump back to the comments because I believe I've missed some. So Sharon, we've got, you created time when you stopped watching TV and you wrote your book at night time when you put your daughter to bed, and it was important to prioritize. That's absolutely right. We often talk about time, don't we? But as you said, there is, what is your priority? So other times people be watching TV, watching the latest trend. So over here at the moment in the UK, everyone's going on about a program here called Love Island. I'm choosing not to watch it because why? My priority is building my business, is building my future, is building my helping my clients' life. So it's what is a priority to you? You know, do you need to really binge out on that Netflix series, or is it going to be more important that you put in that self-development tape, that you contact clients, whatever it may be, because that's going to serve you? That's where the priorities come as well. So thank you so much for sharing that, Sharon, as well. So we understand our why, we get deeper, we make it bigger than us. And what is also important is that we understand who around us has achieved what we want to, who perhaps had excuses and they turned it and fueled it into their why. And there's so many people we can talk about, but I want to touch briefly on a few key people who I think have really embodied turning that excuses into why. The first one of my favorite is a young girl called Malala. I don't know if many of you know about her, but she was a young girl that was in Pakistan and wasn't really able to go to get an education because it was forbidden for females. She chose to rise against this, and subsequently she ended up being shot. This girl has now turned, that could have been a massive excuse. She could have said, okay, I'm not going to continue moving forward, I'm going to become a recluse. That was a big traumatic event for a young person, anyone to experience. Instead, she flipped that round and reframed it. She is now a female education activist. She's won Nobel Peace Prizes, and she's managed to turn what could have been a major excuse into a major why, and is impacting the lives of millions and millions of people. Amazing lady, and I love that. So we've got Yes on here. Yes, she is great. Absolutely amazing. Again, we've got a few other people that I'm going to touch upon. So for instance, Oprah Winfrey, we all know her. She had a traumatic upbringing. She had an image that was supposed to be attributed to what her life would look like. She chose against that. She reframed it, and she used her excuses that could have been her excuses. Many people have gone through the same thing, but she turned that into a why. Again, the third person I just want to touch upon, because it's really important that when we see other people have done it, we know that we can do it as well. Les Brown, you know, he was, many of you have heard his story. He was abandoned, he was adopted, he was labelled as being being dumb, he had dyslexia, but he turned that and reframed that, and he turned his, you know, his love for his adopted mother into being his fuel and his why, so that he can provide her with the lifestyle that he believed that she can have. You know, guys, so there is ways that we can reframe our excuses and turn it into whys, and we can actually move forward and be the best people that we need to be. So let me know if you love any of those people. Who else have you heard about that's turned that excuses into why? Share in the comments, because some people may want to go and share that story, and it may resonate with them and be just the fuel to the fire that they need to really move it forward. Okay, so the reality is, most of us, we have these stories about our excuses, don't we? Whether it be that we don't have enough time, we're of the wrong age, we perhaps, I remember there was a big time there was an excuse about the economy. We're in an economic downturn, you know, that there's a recession, and many people use this as an excuse as to why they could not move forward. But the people that didn't, they ended up being very, very profitable to this time, because they used it and they reframed it and they saw an opportunity. So flipping your excuses into your whys again. What can you do? So you really want to understand. So someone, let me just go back to the comments. Thank you for sharing, everyone. We've got some really amazing people, and I think it's a very important topic that we do need to discuss, right? Because excuses can get in the way, but ultimately the excuses we have, I truly believe this, they are just a part of our ego helping us to play in victim mode. Because, you know, the job of the ego most of the time is that it feels like it's protecting us and it's keeping us within a comfort zone. But if we understand that it's not reality, it's not truth, these excuses we've put in the way, whether we feel we're not knowledgeable, we're not the right person to go out there, we are maybe not skilled, we're not equipped, it is just basically a false perception that is there, and then we end up putting excuses to serve it to make us feel better, but it is not true. And one of the things I'm going to start to talk about, ways that we can actually practically go in and reframe our excuses, but we need to understand that those stories don't serve us, and that they are in fact just a lot of stories, and that once we can start to take responsibility and we can start to move forward and we can start to have the dreams and things that we've aspired, and it really is important. I want to thank everyone that is jumping on at the moment and sharing and giving the emotions. And guys, I really would love to know what your goals are in the moment, and what are the excuses you are using that's stopping you from shining like the stars that you are. Okay, so what I want you to do is start to think about, what if you started to ask your question that if these excuses were no longer there, what could you have? What sort of lifestyle could you have? What kind of business could you have if you started to reframe things and you started to shift away the excuses? So many people, time and time again, use these excuses to keep themselves stuck, just often through fear of what could be. And some of the best things and techniques that I really think we can start to implement is if you start to think about what if, you know. So someone said, loving this, will catch the rest, no problem, and thank you for joining as well. So what if we could start to have that lifestyle, we could start to do those things, and those excuses weren't a part of our life anymore? What would that mean to you guys? And those are the sorts of questions you want to start to ask yourself. So every time, thank you for the comments, and this is awesome, and I hope it's serving you and you guys are getting value from it as well. Feel free to pop questions in the comments. As I see them, I will respond, and any I miss, I will definitely go back via the replay and answer as well. So what if we could start to reframe things, and we could start to ask ourselves, actually, in fact, if I said to myself, actually, time is not going to be an issue. What if I said all these excuses about my age not serving me, whether it be I'm thinking I'm too old or I'm too young? What if it was that my colour is blocking me from getting something? What if I started to not look at these things anymore, and I started to just be the best version of myself? What is the lifestyle I could have? What is a business? What is a goal? What is a desired weight? And where would I be? And once we can start to ask ourselves these questions, every time this negative story pops in our mind, these excuses come in, we can start to alleviate them. But it starts with us reframing and questioning these things that are popping up that do not serve us anymore. Now, what I want you guys to ask yourself is, are you happy with your current situation, everything you have? And it's great to be grateful. I think have an attitude of gratitude serves you well and always raises your vibration. But are you do you know that you can have more, that you can be more? Are you happy? I want you guys to start to think of these questions, and if not, why not? And if why not, you've asked yourself why not, is it because of a excuse that you're bringing in time and time again? Have you been telling yourself every January for the last X amount of years that you are going to, perhaps a typical one is, I'm going to eat healthier and lose weight? Have you been telling yourself that? And if so, what has been the thing that keeps on cropping up? And I truly believe in life we get the same lessons that come up and up again until we learn from them. So if it's something that's coming up that you don't have time, then what do you need to do to change it, to flip it on its head? Do you need to get in a time management specialist? Do you just need to actually use a calendar? You may not even be using a calendar. You could use your phone. Is it that you need to consult with someone who manages to be ultra productive and find out the techniques that they use? What is it? Until we start to see where the reoccurring patterns come up, we can't actually manage and move forward. So guys, I really want you to start to look at what is the things that keep on reoccurring and coming up. And are you happy with it? If not, we can change it. And what you can do is start to refuel that and turn your excuses into your whys and make things happen truly to have the best that you can have as well. Thank you for all the emotions coming in as well. What I also want you to ask yourself is, there is a technique that I absolutely adore. I was actually initially taught this by my coach as well, and I want you to think about everything that keeps on coming up, your excuses, up to where is the lifestyle and the things that you want, whether it be business, whether it be a goal, whatever it may be. Who is a person that you need to become in order to have what you want? What are the characteristics of that person? Usually successful people, there is an abundance of clues no matter what area they have success in. You know, Tony Robbins says success leaves clues. So what are the characteristics that these people have, and how far are you away from those characteristics? So start to think about the blueprint of the person you need to become in order to have what you want, and you'll see that excuses don't come out of many of those people's mouths. Integrity is a massive thing of it. So these people, when they say they're going to do something, they do it. Why? Because it's so important to be integral to what you want. And that's when you're with integrity, everything you say you're going to do, you're going to do it, because you hold integrity so far up the list. And that's when excuses start to disappear and go further and further away from who you are and who you are becoming. Let me know if that resonates with you as well, guys. And that's one of the tips that I would leave you guys with, that I would want you to understand, that in order for you to be a better person, for you to have more, you have to become more as well. So you need to start to really think about who it is and what it is you need to be. So I was just checking the time because I can waffle. This is a very important subject and it can actually be the difference of changing your lives. However, I know we are at a time limit. Let me just check if I have missed any comments. So we've got Loving This. Thank you, Audrey. We've got Aaliyah on. We've got so many people on. Thank you guys for jumping on as well. And we have been talking about how to turn your excuses into your why, and why it's so important in order for us to make the shift and move forward. And guys, I want you to think about what it is you need to be, who you need to be, what are the characteristics, how you can be a bit more integral to have the lifestyle, the business, everything that you dream of and envision, and then things will start to fit into place. Excuses start to disappear, and the ones that do crop up, you use it to fuel you. Going back to the story that I shared before, my biggest excuse could have always been being a single mum, but actually that fuels me, and that is my fire, and actually that is my purpose, and that is what helps me become the best version of myself as well. So I hope you have enjoyed the conversation today. We've had a ball. I've loved being here on the community channel of Girl Power Ignite. For those of you that are new, do make sure you subscribe and you join the movement and you participate in what is the magic of women collaborating, women sharing their tips and expertise, women human being at the best version of themselves that they can be, in order to create the magic that we need. And guys, I want you to promise me one thing as you leave this broadcast, that you are going to work on not letting excuses be the thing that's blocking you from being the best version of yourself, because they serve no one, least of all the person that's telling them. They really don't, and they just stop you from being the greatest version of yourself. So we're going to say bye-bye to the excuses. We're going to work on being a better version of ourselves, and we're going to go out there and we're going to rock it. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Diedrich, everyone that's jumping on as well. It's been amazing. Ladies, I want to thank you for allowing me your listening and your eyes as you've joined me here today as well. And thanks for inviting me, both Julia and Dallas. I have had a ball. We've talked some great things, we've shared, and I hope it starts to get you thinking and mulling over. So that's it from me. I've been Charlotte Barrett. Guys, you can connect with me via my personal page, or you can find me. I have a Facebook community called the Entrepreneurs Connections Lounge. You can jump over there as well, where I share lots more information. So it's been a ball. I want you to continue to all go out there and live on purpose, be on purpose, and be the greatest version of yourself, and get rid of those excuses, okay? Take care. Have an amazing time. Thank you, Blair. Thank you all for joining me. Bye-bye.